I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of pissed because I just recorded this already, but I had my mic on mute. Unk smack move. And so this is the second time I'm recording this, and I'm about to read all of this stuff again and try to explain it with the exact same amount of passion because this was really cool. Now that we got that out the way, welcome back to another video by yours truly. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I dead ass mean this. Galbrena is canonically broken and has unlimited power based off of what they just revealed here in this Galbrena lore that they just dropped like I don't know, 30 minutes ago or something like that. If you're interested in the story progressing and who Galbrena is, how she got her powers, how she overcame the dark tide, a lot of it actually gets answered in here. And I do feel like a lot of these details will play a role in the very soon to come 2.7 story. There's some, I'm telling you, there's some real, I didn't think I would enjoy reading some lore until I read this, and I was like, holy shit, this is cool. Maybe it's just a one-off, maybe it's Galbrena, but if I end up enjoying this further down the line, I wouldn't mind making content like this in the future. That said, let's go ahead and check it out. I promise, stick with me, you won't regret it. I'm also really good at reading. Can't believe I'm about to yap. Oh my God, bro, I'm about to do this shit all over again. Let's get into it. Many thought Galbrena only used guns to fight, right? No other weapon. A misconception she never bothered to correct and exploit it to her advantage. When guns were knocked out of her hand, it was always by deliberate choice rather than by accident. Her enemies would let their guard down and advance. When they closed in, Galbrena attacked either by commanding the slippery serpent to fire or striking with her feathers and even her own blood. Let's stop right here. I love this kind of wit. Just a quick little full screen. I love this kind of wit in battle versus brute strength. It reminds me of what got me interested in Demon Slayer to begin with. Episode 1, when Tanjiro's going up against the Water Hashira. I was so fascinated because there was such a monumental power discrepancy from a pillar, water pillar versus some fucking peasant, pretty much. But Tanjiro used his wit and literally gave the Water Hashira a run for his money. Had him sweating bullets and shitting bricks low key. And it was that point where he ran at him like this and made the Water Hashira think he had a weapon, but he had already threw the axe in the air. And then right when he was about to come down with the attack, he looked, he was like, holy shit, it's an axe in the air. I love wit in combat over brute strength. And this kind of reminds me of that. She's not the type of person that just has a meathead personality. She actually uses her head quite a bit. So that was pretty cool. Now, in short, hard training and an unbreakable mind have turned her into a formidable weapon. Then why does she bother with guns? Because guns make quick work of enemies from a distance. Simple, but effective, and, well, simple logic to it as well. Galbrena avoids people at all costs. It sounds like me, bro. I think I've said this before on live, but when I'm in the grocery store, if there's somebody I notice, I actually go the other direction. I hate talking with people at grocery stores. I'm trying to get my shit and go home, but I'm not trying to have a 3-hour conversation. I will say there's some exceptions to people I love. Not that she doesn't know how to interact with others. Well-traveled as she is, she simply does not enjoy human contact. If she can get a discount on strangely named beverages by simply shouting their names without haggling, she would gladly do so. This isn't the part that's very interesting. You have to bear with me. It's gonna get interesting quite quickly. Discord slang. Galbrena's guns work well on most enemies, but before she wrested them from Chimera's maw, for the longest time, she crafted her own weapons. But those weapons could not withstand the power of the dark tide, and they often disintegrated. So basically, as I interpret this, and it's kind of cool to think about it too, she would make weapons, but then the dark tide power was so, I guess, corruptive and destructive that it would imbue itself into these weapons. And I guess after a certain amount of hits, it would just break down. The weapon would just disintegrate. That also reminds me of Don Machi when Welt, I don't remember, I think his name was Welt, the blacksmith, he would create certain weapons, but then after a certain amount of uses, the weapons would break until he eventually became goated and created one that wouldn't break. Continuing on. But she never gave up weaponsmithing and went on to invent many single-use items, snares, mines, you name it. In her opinion, monsters must be put down by any means necessary. Galbrena acquired her flame wing after devouring a particular tacit discord. So now they're about to explain how she got her powers. And then there's a little bit of just understanding who she is and her personality. That stuff's not that important. I'll let you know when the important stuff comes up. This is a little bit. At first, she had a hard time getting used to flight. and her head was often bruised from crash landings. Now she feels as if she was born to fly. During the day, she loiters in the sky, looking down like an eagle in search of prey. At night, she perches on a high branch, resting and unruffling her feathers, which in itself is also a form of weapon maintenance. That's pretty interesting because it kind of gives off an air of when she acquires or inherits an ability from a particular like entity or creature, she kind of adapts a bit of their habitual like nature, which I think is kind of cool. Her bird-like qualities are not only a habit, but also stem from the need to keep away from people, so as not to cause panic. If on a peaceful evening stroll through the woods, you come across this Discord Slayer, worry not, she'll flee before you do. That's pretty cool. Who's she talking to? Weak tacit discords. Oh, this is a good one. Weak tacit discords are absorbed as sustenance, nutrients, nourishing, right after being devoured by Galbrena's hellfire. So her hellfire is what devours these tacit discords. That's interesting. But powerful ones are not. So she can absorb weak tacit discords as nutrients and nourishment, but she cannot absorb powerful ones. In fact, their frequencies remain inside of her body. So like think of like overlord class for like tacit discords. If she like tries to devour them, they can stay inside of her body. And this part gets interesting. They talk during the day and invade her dreams at night, fighting her to the death over and over. Now, this I thought was quite fascinating because what we just learned here is that that's how she talks to these entities. It's like literally the most broken kind of tacit discords, and they're talking with her. But then when she goes to sleep at night, this is like some Constantine type shit. They're hunting her in her dreams, kind of like nightmares, if you will, I guess. She is constantly being berated by these entities that she's destroyed, but they have lingered in her body, kind of like demons, I guess, if you will. I wonder how she handles her mental fortitude constantly dealing with this. That's quite a hell of an adversity to deal with, or I guess baggage to carry as you are housing these frequencies. But it gets more interesting. No one but Galbrena can hear the tacit discords inside of her. So most people find it disturbing when they chance upon her talking to no one in particular in an accusatory tone with her eyes shut. Maybe Chimera said something inappropriate, or maybe the tacit discords are having a tea party and plotting their revenge. It's quite fascinating. This is where the shit gets very interesting, okay? The subject's resonance ability shows prior contamination by the dark tide. We've already known this. The frequency spectrum is heavily obscured and cannot be analyzed via the Rebel method. I don't know what the fuck that method is. Based on the subject's own testimony, corroborated by external sources, she's classified as a congenital resonator. Overlord class tacit discord detected within the subject's body. That's what I was telling you about. Testing is to be transferred to the Tethys system. All non-essential personnel are to evacuate to designated safe zones without delay. So just by reading this is quotation. This sounds as if Galbrena has already been taken to the Black Shores, experimented on and analyzed by the Black Shores people who operate within the Tethys system to like understand things. That's just me putting two and two together based off this, because this is quotations. Sample, database linked, comparative analysis initiated. The subject's internal frequency confirmed. Parcel matches identified with known tacit discords. This is interesting. These are the tacit discords that they have identified in Galbrena. Chimera, Galbrena herself, Harpia, Dullahan, Baylor, or Balor, I think it was Baylor or Balor, and the nameless Dread Shade. Now, quick break here. First of all, Chimera. Chimeras, if you think about it, are pretty much the most broken type of mythical creatures. Why? Because a chimera isn't actually anything in particular. It's something that can fuse with multiple like mythical creatures and things and become like, I don't know, 18 different creatures if it wanted to. A chimera's insanely fucking broken. And this ties into why Galbrena is able to inherit abilities from multiple tacit discords later on. But then I found it interesting that it's at Galbrena is a tacit discord herself. It like listed her as one of the identified tacit discords. And then of course we have the Harpia and the Dullahan, which thanks to you guys, y'all helped me understand that when we very first analyzed her drip marketing. Whether you guys were looking at leaks, which I'm gonna be honest, probably a lot of y'all were, probably some of y'all were just incredibly like intuitive. But Harpia and then the Dullahan, which is the Headless Horseman. And then we have Baylor. I don't know what the fuck that is. Comment down below. And the nameless Dread Shade. Regardless, we've now confirmed that she has more than what we thought in terms of like different creature and abilities. She's like a beast tamer, right? She has more of them in her than we thought. This answer also gets answered. I mean, this question, or I guess wonder or mystery, gets answered as we continue reading. Remaining correlations pending verification. All identified tacit discords exhibit no hostile behavior under suppression by the subject's own frequency. She quite literally tamed the fuck out of them. Well, with the baggage of having to deal with them trying to kill her in her sleep. Behavioral stability confirmed under high stress conditions. Final assessment, containment not advised. Recommendation, routine examinations. So let's continue on. This is where it gets even more interesting. The cause of the subject's awakening cannot be confirmed. Her innate flame, once corroded by the dark tide, decayed but was never fully extinguished. So just picture this. She's almost completely fucking cooked by the dark tide. She's only got one little fainty fiery light remaining. That's what they meant by never fully extinguished. Her resonator ability was almost completely and utterly cooked by the dark tide, but there was still this little flame light remaining. Subsequently, following events, it fused with the tide spawn known as the chimera. What better way, like what better entity to fuse with your remaining like abilities than a fucking chimera, bro? Like it just doesn't get better than that. And get this, altering the flame's very nature and granting her the capacity or ability to consume other frequencies. Dude, the chimera quite literally saved her life. Through this process, the subject proactively hunts tacit discords, absorbing and transforming their frequencies into her own power. This is why I was telling you, this bitch literally is canically broken and has unlimited power, technically speaking, because she can just keep absorbing more and more overlord broken tacit discords and turning their abilities into her power, with the only drawback being she has to deal with them in her sleep and talking with her all the time. It's like the only drawback, unless they unveil some more shit when 2.7 story comes out. But right now, it sounds like she's got unlimited power to tap into by constantly absorbing these things. At present, she's able to wield multiple tacit discord abilities in combat. For demons devoured by her flame, there are only two outcomes: purification, getting rid of them, and transformation into her own power, or utter destruction. So maybe, okay, so there is a bit of a drawback then. And I think that would make sense, because it would be like too broken. If she absorbs too many of them, she might get cooked because of too many different powers, might just like overlord. Maybe her brain might be cooked from too many different corruptions going at her while she's sleeping. Who knows? I think that's one outcome. The other outcome is maybe they're talking about the fucking frequencies just getting cooked inside of her. I don't know. Her hell flame seems kind of cracked. But now we have a better understanding and a grasp into how her inherent abilities and powers function. And I think the answer to how she was able to overcome getting cooked was a chimera fusing with her resonance ability. That's just based off what we know so far. There might be a little bit more, and I feel like there is a little bit more to her powers in the rest of her story. But continuing on, and this is the last part, Black Shore's Bloom Bearer. Despite the immense power Miss Galbrena exhibited after overclocking, so she did overclock, including marked transformations of both appearance and physiology, we nevertheless classify her historical maximum overclocking rating as negligible. And I guess they mean like as like not a problem, which usually is a massive problem. The assessment must be understood in context. Her resonance ability was once corrupted by the dark tide. We know this, leaving her almost entirely depleted of her resonance ability, for a resonator so diminished to achieve overclocking at all. To move from deficit to surplus, from absence to presence, is nothing short of miraculous. So basically, she overcame maximum overclocking, and they're saying that's a hell of a miracle, especially considering that she was almost entirely depleted of her resonance ability by the dark tide. Traditionally, overclocking has been defined as a state that exhausts the mind and body, signifying the dominance of destructive tendencies over regenerative ones within resonators. Galbrena's case, however, compels us to reconsider this definition. In her, overclocking didn't manifest as deterioration, rather, but as a signal of rebirth, like a phoenix, guys. It suggests that the phenomenon may be closely tied to the will of the resonator, and that if properly guided, Overclocking could potentially yield constructive outcomes, transforming into a power that resonators could one day learn to wield with intent. Now, let's full screen this. I now interpret what Galbrena essentially did was what Yusuke Urameshi did on Yu Yu Hakusho, spoiler alert, when his master told him, I'm gonna put this ball inside of you and I'm gonna let you know off rip. It is the most dangerous and most painful thing you will ever experience in the entirety of your life. It can even kill you. But if you overcome this ball, this energy, you will experience a growth in powers like you have never seen before. I feel like that's the best like parallel, at least off the top of my head, to compare to what Galbrena was, what she did essentially. And it leads interpretation for this to be a possibility for other resonators. Therefore, Calcharo's Wash Dash, Ling Yang, Yin Lin, all the cooked 1.0 characters that are getting power crept as we know it, this leaves room for them to maximum overclock, overcome that shit, and then get abilities back. Boys, I already got the script ready for the goddamn Wu-Wai team. Y'all can bring back them and revitalize their powers with this maximum overclocking thing. You just gotta write it into the story. But that's pretty much what it means though. She was able to pretty much convince scientists. She blew scientists' mind out of the water with her ability to overcome all of these like insane adversities and obstacles. And that is why I wanted to show this to you guys, because I thought it was very fascinating and it answers a number of questions. Now, there's more that you can read. I'm not going to read all this stuff. It's kind of like just more little cool little lore bits and like unveiling her personalities and stuff. Like the chimera in Galbrena's body resides a special tacit discord that fights alongside her when called upon. Most of the time, he wishes Galbrena would do what she is told and bring destruction and death to those around her. You can read little stuff like this. I'm not going to read all the rest of this stuff. Actually, there is one more part I want to read because this is also some interesting shit. Chimera feeds on my soul, and I believe she's referencing the goddamn the thing we've seen the most. It's the wolf. This guy right here. Yeah, that's 100% the chimera. To replenish what it takes, I hunt tacit discords for their frequencies. So she has to hunt tacit discords for their frequencies because the chimera feeds on her soul. Even without a pact, it would still find a way to take from me. So I made a choice not to resist, but to become part of it. Only flames survive flames. Now, forged in hellfire, this body burns even brighter. As for Chimera and the other tacit discords who thought they were so tough, they must learn to live in my fire. So that's interesting. That actually, I think that answered my question earlier. The face utter destruction, I don't even think that pertains to her. I think that pertains to, this part right here. Devoured by her flame, there are only two outcomes: purification and transformation into her own power, or utter destruction. I think that pertains to them. I don't even think that pertains to her. So I think she quite literally does have unlimited power, which is insane, bro. That's actually kind of cool, man. So yeah, I just wanted to share that tidbit because I thought that was interesting. I will read it on my own. I just wanted you guys to know that there's a lot of important stuff in here concerning her and probably the 2.7 story. Anyway, comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this. If you enjoyed it, I'll do more of it in the future. If you didn't, well, hey, that's the beauty of content creation. You can kind of just experiment with stuff. Peace, love, and happiness. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.